Start preview. Okay, so hit start streaming. Okay, so I am streaming now. Let me go to YouTube. Click on. Okay, so now it's working. Start preview. Okay, so hit start streaming. Okay, so I guess I'm live. Let me. Okay, so I am streaming now. Let me go to YouTube. Click on. Okay, so now it's working. Go to that. Go to that. Start preview. Okay, so hit start streaming. Okay, so I guess I'm live. Okay, so I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click on. Right now, so now it's working. I'm just gonna edit a couple things, and then we're good to go. How do I start preview? I'm getting used to the streaming on YouTube. Okay, it's a little bit different. So hit start streaming. I used to stream on Twitch all the time. So I guess I'm live. Okay, so I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click on. Right now, so now it's working. I'm just gonna edit a couple things, and then we're good to go. Here we go. Edit. How do I start preview? I'm getting used to the streaming on YouTube. Okay, it's a little bit different. So hit start streaming. I used to stream on Twitch all the time. So I guess I'm live. Okay, so I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click on. Right now, so now it's working. I'm just gonna edit a couple things, and then we're good to go. Chat now. Here we go. Edit. We are good to go. Start preview. I'm getting used to the streaming on YouTube. Okay, it's a little bit different. So hit start streaming. I used to stream on Twitch all the time. So I guess I'm live. Okay, so I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click on. Right now, so now it's working. I'm just gonna edit a couple things, and then we're good to go. Chat now. Here we go. Edit. We are good to go. Start preview. I'm getting used to the streaming on YouTube. Okay, so hit start streaming. I used to stream on Twitch all the time. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I'm live. Okay, so I am streaming now. All right. Let me get to my. Let me get to my everything going. Click right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Edit a couple things. Start preview. Start preview. Getting used to the streaming on. Okay. So hit start streaming. So hit start streaming. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Start preview. Getting used to the streaming on. Okay. So hit start streaming. So hit start streaming. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Start preview. Getting used to the streaming on. Okay. So hit start streaming. So hit start streaming. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Right now. Now it's working. Start preview. Getting used to the streaming on. Okay. So hit start streaming. So hit start streaming. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I'm live. So I guess I am streaming now. All right. Well, this is. Let me get to my space real quick while I get everything going. Click right now. Now it's working. How's that? Is that better? This is my first stream on YouTube, so some settings are going to be wrong. And I'm not using the same setup as I used for Twitch. It's a lot different and a lot more difficult. But hopefully, you're not hearing that 5 times now. Unmute it. Unmute it and turn the volume up, so see if I can hear myself. is it? Sound settings. What? Is it still echoing? I wonder if it's still echoing or not. I'm not too sure what's causing that. Okay, no more echo. All right, back onto what I was saying. The channel is more focused towards the average user, and the first video is going to be about installing Windows 10, and from there so on, I'm going to show, or at least explain how to install drivers and specific software that the majority of people use. There's a delay, so right now I'm just kind of listening to see if I can hear myself echo or not, and it takes a couple seconds for it to catch up, so give me a moment. Cool, no more echo. All right, so there'll be videos towards more the advanced technology audience, but right now it's more focused towards the basic user until I can kind of get the correct audience to watch my videos, and then I want to reach out to the more technology-based community, the ones that know what they're doing, and go more advanced stuff. Like one of my projects is to make my apartment running off of solar panels, which would be focused towards the advanced user rather than the basic user. And that's more of what my channel is going to be about. The live streams are not typically going to be on Sunday. This was because YouTube has this 24-hour verification, whatever it is, that wouldn't allow me to stream last night. So I couldn't stream last night, which I'm doing it tonight. But it'll be every Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Time or 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I don't know what that is, Pacific Time. So I would go off Central Time and kind of calculate where it would follow for you. And these streams are going to be more focused on tech news because I have some topics laid out right now. But they'll be focused on tech news, and I'll be explaining why this matters to the average user and if you should follow it closely or not. And then other things would just kind of be what companies are releasing, what certain companies are doing. Maybe if certain governments are trying to get involved with technology such as the US government or Canadian or UK, whatever it may be. And so that's that. And then one last thing is the channel art that I have up right now, like the triangle and stuff, that was from my previous channel. So until I can get the Adobe software purchased, which won't be till Friday, most of the channel art will be borrowed from my previous channel, just removing the name of it. So for now, I have to use what I can do. I am using GIMP. GIMP's much more difficult to use than Photoshop is, so it takes a little bit of learning since I'm used to Photoshop. And now we're going to get to the tech news. So let me make sure this is working properly and get the chat up so I can make sure to read the chat. So let's go to main view. So the first topic that I do want to discuss is bringing up how Samsung is finally moving into the low-end smartphones or mid-range price point, such as OnePlus, which is around $500, maybe cheaper, closer to $300. From my knowledge, I know the Galaxy A series are typically between $500 to $600. I've used the Galaxy A Tab, and that one I would not recommend, but that was a couple years ago. They want to get more into the mid-range area because most of the people, at least my age or younger, cannot afford the $900 or $1,000 smartphones. That being said, I currently have the OnePlus 3, which I bought for $509 when it first came out 2 years ago now, and it's worked ever since. So I've had no need to go towards the Samsung Galaxies, or better, I even stayed away from the Pixels, which the Pixels are supposed to be great devices, because this contends right up along with the Pixels, and it's almost $500 cheaper. So I'm going to keep an eye out to see if this goes any further. But what they plan on doing is putting the best technology possible that they can put in for that price point, which will more than likely match what I have in this phone. Well, the newer versions at least. The newer versions have a Snapdragon. I think it's an 835 or 935. I'm not too familiar. I don't know if it's an 8 series or 9 series yet. But they'll have at least the top of the range processors. Maybe cut down on the camera. Who knows what they'll do. But that seems to be the first topic. But speaking about Samsung, the next topic is Samsung confirms plans to launch a foldable phone this year. And this has been building up. I think the first video was released probably in 2013, when they showed a kind of like it was like a regular sized phone that would just open up into a tablet. And they've been kind of talking about this probably for the last 4 years. If I'm correct, it's been 4 years now that they've been talking about it. And it's really cool because they smartphone manufacturers like ZTE have already released foldable phones, but it's more like a phone with a hinge that opens up into two screens rather than have it a seamless open up like you're unfolding a piece of paper. And that's what Samsung plans to do. There was a leaked picture. Let's see if this will bring up the leaked picture. No. That's kind of what ZTE did with their foldable phone. But what they want to do is it looks like a unfolded piece of paper, and when you fold it back up, it'll have a screen on the outside too. They plan to have it at $2,000, is according to the rumors, but not much has been released besides the fact that it's going to be a foldable phone with an OLED display that'll be released before the end of this year. So that would be cool, and I'm hoping that a lot of reviews will be released on that so I can at least discuss it with the audience. That being said, there's not much more that they have on this than that they're releasing it before 2019. These topics as well are things that I thought would be fun to talk about and interesting. And the next topic, which I'm kind of going through these fast, is the OnePlus 6T leaks. So this is the phone. This is the predecessor 3 years later or 2 years later to OnePlus 3. And it's getting some pretty cool technology for a $500 cell phone. What the leaks reveal is that it has an in-screen fingerprint scanner. So you would touch the screen as so, and it would scan your fingerprint and unlock the phone for you, rather than you having what I have, which is a fingerprint right down here. Another cool thing is it's going to have a water drop notch. So if you've ever heard of the Essential phone, it's going to have a similar notch to that, maybe a little smaller, which will give I believe it's a 92 to 98% screen to body ratio. According to the leaks, it's going to have a small little chin, but that's about it, which I think will be pretty interesting to see what the price is for this. A lot of the rumors are saying it's supposed to be but $550, maybe $580 within that range, which is still getting kind of high for the average user such as me and you. Even when I first bought this phone, I had trouble justifying $509, never mind $550, almost close to $600 for a phone. So we'll see what happens with this, and I will keep updated on the next stream. The next one is away from the cell phones. It's really cool because this is a Google Home that projects Android TV onto a wall. And it's kind of cool to see that this technology is becoming mainstream now. One of the things that this plans to do is it's going to have Google Assistant. So instead of using a remote, you talk to it to have it play something. And right now it offers it works with YouTube, Spotify, Plex, but does not work with Netflix yet. I do not know if this device has been released yet, but it's, from what this is showing is it has not been released just yet. It is going to have USB and Ethernet ports. I do not know if it's USB-C. I tried to look it up and could not find anything on it, but it looks like it'd be kind of an interesting piece of tech, as long as it's not using the giant bulbs and instead is using a laser projector. The bulbs will get washed out depending on the light in the room, and if you have like the average sunlight, like midday, 1 o'clock, you're not going to be able to see the screen very well. But if it's a laser projector, you won't have an issue seeing the screen no matter what kind of light is on it. So I'm interested to see what kind of technology they'll have and what they'll use in it and what the price point's going to be, as projectors don't run cheap. Even for a cheap projector, I think they're close to $200. And that's if you don't buy some knockoff off of eBay. It would be also cool to see if they teamed up with Google or not, or if they're releasing it completely on their own. So we'll see what happens with this one. The next topics are more serious, kind of affecting everybody. This one right here I thought was quite interesting was the UK, US, and other governments, so New Zealand, Canada, are trying to get tech companies such as Google to build backdoors into encryption. Now, that is not a very good idea, nor will it lead to anything good. If the US, the way it is now, if they had a backdoor into your phone at any time you wanted, if you got it confiscated, say at the TSA, or you're leaving the country or coming back in, they can get into your phone without your permission. An example of where this would go bad is I don't remember what her name was, but a female came back from Switzerland, and she got her phone confiscated by the Border Patrol, and they managed to get her password and copied all of her data. Now, if she didn't have a password on it, they would not have had her password. They've taken the phone and just had her go on. And they would have gotten into the phone without asking for her password, and therefore taken her information without her permission. That's also bad because I encrypt all of my devices, and say I have social security information on my phone, hackers and such could use that backdoor as an exploit to get into your cell phone and steal information that they need, like passwords and social security numbers. My password manager itself is 256 AES encrypted, which is the best military grade encryption that we can do without slowing down the machine. And what was I going with this? It would be a big privacy concern for the most part. Like a while ago, the FBI brought Apple to court to get into a iPhone because they couldn't get into the encryption, and they couldn't get the person's password. Apple refused, and they ended up hiring somebody to hack the phone. Now, if we didn't have the encryption, it would make that process a lot easier, where they just type in a single password for every single encrypted phone and get what they want off of it. It's like the TSA approved locks. It's one key unlocks all the locks. If you get your hand on the key, you can get in anybody's backpack. Same idea, same issue, and I don't think this is a good idea. It ruins the idea of encryption. You can't hide anything from anybody. Even now, I have a lot of background when it comes to penetration testing and white hat hacking, and it's very difficult to get someone's password if it's over 4 or 5 characters long, and if it's not a dictionary password, so random numbers, letters, and characters. Like I said, this would be extremely bad and would not go very well. And this is the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. I expected better from Canada and New Zealand, honestly. But that's about sums up this. My little rant's over. Oh, let's see what I got. Nobody said anything in the chat yet. Let's see. Google's bad day in Congress. So this one was quite interesting, and I thought it would be important to bring this up. At this moment, if you haven't heard, Facebook, Twitter, and Google were all being summoned to Congress to talk about what they did or what they're doing to prevent another Russian interference voting issue, such as like the ads that were on Facebook. They were trying to talk to CEOs to see what they're doing to prevent it, and Google did not show up. The CEO did not go, and the representative that they were going to send was denied. So what happened during this was that Congress, after questioning Facebook and Twitter, ended up bashing on Google since they had no one there to represent themselves, and is now starting a more of a political movement to get Google's, what would you call it? To go after Google for things that they have done. Let's see. one thing that they said, I read this a little while ago, but let's see. One thing that they said was that they were going to go after Google for all the data mining they've been doing. And what else? There's data mining, and there's one other thing, YouTube censorship and that sort of stuff. Because Google wasn't there to defend themselves, Congress has kind of a free door to go through and go after this company for some sort of things, especially since Congress is mainly Republican. And I'm not trying to get political and all, but they've been complaining a lot about censorship and false information, which if you understand the algorithm of how Google works, their censorship is not enabled within the US and other countries like the US, European Union, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. There's no censorship that Google has been placing onto it. It's all based off the cookies that's in your web browser. There will be a video about what cookies does and information on that. But as I said, Google sorts their search results based on the previous websites, so your history, your cookies, anything that is publicly available through your web browser that they can use. So when someone searches something, it's going to go off of what you've been searching recently, or whatever your Google account has in it, or what YouTube videos you watch. It all kind of factors into what they tell you about. Now, Google's not going to change the search results because you're upset with what's showing up. It's more so you have to sign into your Google account. You have to search certain things up to change the algorithm to show what you want to show, which a lot of people will not understand that. But at this moment, Google's in high waters, and Congress is trying to get the FTC to investigate in them, which is kind of what the next topic's about as well. It's the same idea. The Justice Department is trying to go after Google for rigging search results, which, as I just explained, is the algorithms based on what you've searched and what your cookies are. So there is no such thing as rigging, especially not in the US, where most information is publicly available. There's no censorship. You can search whatever you want on Google as long as it's not illegal. Even then, pirating sites still come up when you search that. But the same idea is trying to meet with the state generals and get something going against Google. But I don't really see this going anywhere. Not with what they have as evidence, which is just somebody complaining about it. How long am I even into this right now? Only for a half hour. Okay. Another topic that I can talk a lot more about is this one. I don't know why it's on archive today, but this is from what is the name of the company? DARPA? Yeah, DARPA. DARPA is the technological research branch of the government. What this talks about is that Moore's Law has come to an end, where they can no longer fit any more semiconductors into the current CPUs without the price being too much. What the DARPA is suggesting is that instead of having a specific chips, so the i7 is made for desktop processors, and Qualcomm Snapdragon is made for cell phones, and then there's the AI chips. Instead of having specified processors, they want one universal processor that you can self-program. So if you want a processor to work just for AI, you go into the code, which would probably be assembly mixed with maybe some C, and change that code to work for whatever process you're doing. The way it is right now is that the circuit boards and the semiconductors on the processors are made in a specific way for their specific tasks, which is why we have a GPU and a CPU, or graphics card and a central processing unit. The graphics card's made for parallel processing. The CPU is made for multi-core processing. So that's how I have OBS, I have Notepad++, Google Chrome, and another web browser open, because the central processing unit, or the CPU, allows for multiple processes to go as once, and it kind of works like a clock. One process gets a certain amount of time on that processor, and then it chooses another process, and so on and so forth. A GPU does 10 things at the same time, and just goes. What they want to do is allow you to be able to change the process based on what you want, such as AI. AI is a super intense process that needs to be done. So if you're trying to teach a piece of hardware how to do it, they use supercomputers that can take up to 24 to 48 hours just to teach it half of what it knows, maybe even longer. But the idea is to make it so that there's more improvement in processing power, as well as making the chips cheaper to work with. Intel right now has already started to work on that, as well as NVIDIA, because NVIDIA's GPUs can be used for crypto mining, AI, graphics processing, encryption. Intel's right now is mainly desktop processing, but it can also do other stuff as well, such as AI training and encryption, which it's not very good at it. It's more specified towards desktop. But yeah, that seems to be all this topic is about. There was one more that I know Brett wanted me to talk about. I just gotta find the link. It's about Apple allowing, where is it? Apple allowing the government into your phone without much of a hassle. Now, I don't know what happened to it. I'm searching for the link now. There it is. It's on Tom's Hardware. So Tom's Hardware did a piece about Apple allowing police to request data. Now, I haven't actually read this over yet, but it seems like frustrating system. It seems like they're trying to overhaul the system. So right now you have to send in an email to get data requested. I believe an online tool allowing law enforcement officials to make and track data requests without resorting to email. Now, this could be good or bad. It might be bad because more data they might allow the police to get into more cell phones having this kind of ticketing system. But besides that, I don't really see much of a bad issue with this. If they have legitimate reasons to get into a cell phone, then I believe that they should be allowed to. But if they're doing it for who knows why, encryption tools, let me see. With the Apple encryption being hardware based, I'm not sure how this works. If they have if they don't have a backdoor, so there has to be a way or a tool that allows them to decrypt it. I'm not too sure how this works, as Apple said that they don't save your encryption key. But unfortunately, this could also go downhill in a bad way, as if they request for the access to cell phones, they could start requesting it more prominently to people who don't deserve to have their phone accessed with no legitimate reason, such as that person who got stopped at Border Patrol as a U.S. citizen, mind you, and got their phone taken away for 90 days with all their data decrypted and copied over to a undisclosed computer and multiple different companies. So I think this could go horribly wrong, but also could go very well. It could mean that they can track who's requesting and deny them a lot easier. Or this could allow for more requests and a lot more people getting screwed over in the long run. And that's about what I got for topics. But as far as I know, what do I have for views? 3. One of them is me. So who's watching right now? Anybody that I know? I know Nick is. So what I do plan on doing is I wish I had more topics to talk about, but I didn't really choose any more. I think one of the things I want to do on this channel, I'm going to go back to talking about the channel. One of the things I want to do is talk about why encryption so good is a good idea to do on every phone. Like my phone's encrypted, my Surface is encrypted. I have an application on here called VeraCrypt that I use to unencrypt and encrypt my flash drive that I have. And encryption is more good because if someone steals your cell phone or your flash drive or your computer or hard drive, they can't get in and get your information. And that's more so what it's about, is protecting yourself against privacy. Like a lot of people don't want their rights taken away to own guns. This is the same idea. I don't want my right taken away to have encryption. Like, how do I'm trying to think of a way to kind of talk about this in a way that somebody can understand. But at this moment, I'm kind of blanking. I'm gonna more put this in a video than I am now. Right now, this is the first stream, and I don't want to get too carried away, and I gotta kind of understand how to time manage this stream. As I went through the topics a little bit too fast at this moment, since I'm only 30 minutes in, and I went through 9 different topics now. Here's a fun topic. I just thought of it would be the Elon Musk getting backlash for smoking weed on a podcast. That is an interesting one. Where he did it, it was completely legal, but yet he's getting shamed by probably pot smokers themselves. Let me see. I got Nick messaged me. Cool. That's one thing that I thought was kind of dumb. He worked 60-hour weeks just to get the Model 3 up to pace. That way they can produce 170,000 a week, something like that, 300,000 a week, something like that. And yet here he is taking a break, and when he does something that's legal in the state that he did it in, it got a lot of pushback. One thing that kind of stuck out when I was reading through what people were saying is the fact that he was drinking whiskey the whole time, and no one said a word about that. Yet, it's commonly known that when you get drunk, you are not in your right mind, and it's just a mess in general. Most people here who've watching have been drunk. Now, at least he only took one puff and did not inhale it. So when it comes, one of the comments said that when he did smoke it, he inhaled it, which brought it into its mouth, and then blew it out immediately. So he did not get high off of it. His stocks dropped 8%, so went from $310 down to $280 because the investors were upset that he did that. Which I understand that they're upset, but only if it was in an illegal state. But that was more of an interesting one. And he also released a more recent email. He sent an email to his employees recently congratulating everybody on their good work because they finally got the production of the Model 3, Model S, and Model X to 300,000 per unit per month, which is pretty good for a company who went from producing less than 100,000 of each model. Technically, the stream should be over now because it is 9 o'clock for me. And I think I might end it a little bit early so that way I can do a little bit better at planning next time and talk a little bit slower and kind of start to get feedback from the people who are watching, which the other person who was watching is gone now. I'm assuming that. But so for now, I'm going to end the stream, and next Saturday at 8 o'clock Central Time, it'll be up and running. I finally got it working now, and I didn't spend a half hour trying to get the thing working. So we'll do it next Saturday. I will hopefully have better graphics, and I will make this drag out longer and should have a co-host. Talking alone makes it so that way topics go through faster and you only have one opinion, such as my own. Next should be a friend of mine. We'll be on Skype, but we'll be talking, and he will be able to put his own thoughts in the stuff rather than just hearing it from me and getting one opinion. I did have a kind of a guideline, but I didn't follow that and probably should have. So we'll see everybody next Saturday and hopefully have more people watching. So have a great night.